Got a couple more stuff for us to touch on. So here's this audio.
Start off with your name and age.
I'm Shay, and I'm 37.
How you doing, Shay?
I'm doing amazing.
Shay, what do you do?
So I work for the county, and I have my own hair business and a few other little small businesses.
Okay. All right. And why did you end up popping your balloon?
So originally I was feeling it. I like I don't want to say a bad boy, but I like somebody that's outspoken. But the question of, I feel like you're challenging the women on how many baby daddies you got, and then, it just, does that matter? You say future, so that's their past. It's not their future. How many kids do you have?
I have one daughter. She's 19.
Do you want more?
I do.
My balloon still pop because I don't want any more.
Okay.
You don't want any more?
Not at all. I have.
You can't have any more. You choose not to have
any more. I have a almost 14-year-old and.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the reason for me asking their past about the baby daddies, because it lets me know where they're going in their future. If you didn't want to have a baby daddy for the second time, then that lets me know that you was uncareful of what you're dealing with.
Do you necessarily believe that somebody's past is their past that don't determine their future? Because I mean, I can look at you and say like you made people make mistakes. And it could happen. I feel like once or twice. Okay, some things become a choice, but your past doesn't determine.
When it comes to once is a mistake. Twice, that's on you.
Okay, so then say like you get into a relationship with somebody, you get married, and things don't work. So then I guess you made a mistake, so you once is a mistake, and then twice is. I don't believe in that because I believe things happen.
Sweetheart, twice is on you.
Okay,
you should have learned from that very first mistake. Okay, and not saying that your child is a mistake, right?
Of course.
But the fact that you chose the wrong man to have kids with, and secondly, not to have a marriage after the next one or before the next one.
Marriage doesn't determine, and I'm a person that wants to be married, but marriage don't determine anything. I done known people to be married for a long time and it don't work out, baby. So yeah, you are honey bun. Okay. You're too aggressive now.
No problem. Well, the aggressiveness that comes from a Southern man, right?
Baby, let me explain.
And we stand on what we talking about.
Our roots come from Texas, so.
Okay, I'm from New Orleans.
Okay, so you
know what I mean?
South,
so
the
when
battles of the South.
Brian, let's move on. Let's move on.
No problem. Have a good day, love.
Okay, so Air Force High, what are your thoughts? Do you think a man or woman's past matters? And do you think that if someone does something more than once, that it can be considered a mistake? You know what? I'm not even gonna do it. Listen. If you do something more than one time, it's not a mistake anymore. You're making a choice at that point. It's not a mistake. So this probably gonna hurt some people's feelings in here, but I don't care. So to those of you women in here that are single mothers and you have multiple kids by multiple men, you never been engaged, you never been married before, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. You made a decision. You didn't want to learn. You didn't want to learn the first time. You didn't want to learn the second time or the third time for some of you. So no, you did not. You didn't make a mistake. So when you're talking about your past, don't be trying to tell men, and men the same thing. Don't be trying to tell women that you made mistakes. You made conscious decisions as an adult to put yourself in the position that you're in. And if people don't want to deal with you because of it, they're within all of their right to not deal with you because of it. But Air Force High, what are your thoughts on what you just heard?
I like, my opinion on this is that yes, I kind of agree to what he said. He didn't really need to say that 100%, to be frank or honest, because if you didn't like the girl, you wasn't gonna make a move on her or whatever. You should have just kept it short and kept it simple. But it is true. It's like, like that first kid is a mistake. He was young, dumb, he was in love, whatever the situation may be. Like at that point, you should be like, there's no reason for having a second child out of wedlock if you knew that person wasn't going to ever marry you. There's too many options of ways of preventing pregnancy in today America for you to be like, oh, I had kid number 2, I had kid number 3, I had kid number 4. I still don't know my lesson. Come on. Like at that point, you know what I'm saying? Once is a fluke, twice is a pattern, 3 times it's all on you. And for me, I think, especially for women, I know they don't want to make it seem like as if their child is a badge of bad decisions, but it is, because at the end of the day, like, your decision making is not all the way through if you allow one man to reprocreate with you and give him the most highest thing that you can do is give him a child and put your life at risk at giving birth. But for you to do it again, come on. You have to be honest with yourself. Yeah, I understand some people don't want to be filtered out by saying that something that happened in their past to keep them from getting an opportunity to somebody that they want. But you have to make these decisions earlier in life and realize, okay, cool. If I want to be this, then like if I make that first mistake, I can't make that mistake again. If that person is not willing to change my last name, is not willing to put me on some papers, on some deeds and so whatever, I can't be giving up the fruit of my loins, you know what I'm saying, putting my life at risk for someone that might be a consistent father, might not be a consistent father, and then somebody else plays stepdad to two kids that's not his. That's just me.
No, 100. This is actually what we're going to do. So I'm going to play the second audio, and we're going to have everyone speak on both of these at the same time. So I'm going to just give you a little backstory, and then I'm going to play the audio so you can hear it for yourself. So y'all can't really see it that well, but to my right, there's a woman in orange. She's 34 years old, three kids, three baby daddies, all non-existent in their children's life. She disqualified this man because she was not feeling his pants, you know. Um, she's not feeling his pants, so she disqualified him, but she got three kids, three baby daddies. But let's hear together, okay?
Start off with your name and age.
I'm Shay, and I'm 37.
How you doing, Shay?
I'm doing amazing.
Shay, what do you do?
So I work for the county, and I have my own hair business and a few other little small businesses.
All right. And now, why did you end up popping your balloon?
So originally I was feeling it. I like I don't want to say a bad boy, but I like somebody that's outspoken. But the question of, I feel like you're challenging the women. Oh, how many?
My bad, playing the wrong one. My bad. Hold on.
Okay, social media?
Social media agent, yes.
Okay, how many kids you have?
Wrong one again. Here it goes.
I love the way you speak, but for me, it was the pants. I don't like the pants too tight. I'm kind of ghetto too, so I like them a little loose, and that was just it for me.
Okay. How old are you?
34.
You're 34? How many kids you got?
I got 3.
You got 3?
Yep.
How many baby daddies?
I have 3.
You got 3 baby daddies. Okay.
I should have said 0, because it's just me.
You gonna lie to the public?
No, I have 3, but it's just me. I'm a single parent. There's no man in my life.
Okay. No man in your life? Why is the
My
reason for
boys.
there no man in your life?
Well, my first child, his father passed away, and the other 2 are nowhere to be found. So, what can you do?
They do you like that? What's wrong with them?
Something. Only God
Or
knows.
is there something wrong with you?
Possibly, but I think I'm just fine.
I think you're just fine as well.
Thank you.
Right. But to say that a 41-year-old man is disqualified because of his pants,
You're 41?
I'll be 41 in September.
Okay, because I was like, I thought you said 40.
I'll be 41 in September. That's coming up.
I like it. It's okay for you. It's not my style. You know, with everything going on, I like the pants to be a little baggy, that's all.
Where you from, love?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay. How long you been out here?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's go on over here. Balloon for Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Thank you for sticking around, Air Force High. Please give your thoughts on that before you leave, brother.
I think it's childish as hell for you to disqualify somebody over pants. When at the same time when men say, hey, that stripper outfit that you're going outside, you know what I'm saying, makes me think I should just treat you as a $2, you know what I'm saying, gardening tool.
Right.
Childish. It's childish. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just shows you your mentality and your maturity ain't where it's supposed to be at the first place. And it just shows that, like, that's not somebody you should even, you know, work your time with at all. His response back to her or whatnot, not necessary. But at the end of the day, you know, certain people's egos are a little fragile. But nah, that's just childish. That's just somebody you just got to skip and keep it pushing.
Let me ask you one question though before you go.
What's up?
Do you think a lot of young, and just please answer it honestly, okay? Don't care about what's going on. Do you think a lot of young black women actually value the important things in a man? Like, do you actually think a lot of young black women? I'm just gonna be honest. When I hear women, I hear a lot of young black women talk about them looking at a man's shoes, them looking at a man's belt. Them looking at his pants, as we just heard, his outfit. I hear them talk about, men matching their fly. I don't hear a lot of young black women talking about men having careers, men having retirement plans, men going to the doctor, men having dental insurance, life insurance, health insurance. I don't hear them, talk about valuing those things. So what do you honestly think, and what do you honestly like see and observe in the real
I
world?
think this is what I would see. Like, I've been in Chicago for the last 8 years, so my experience might be a little skewed. My thing is just this: it really depends on their parents, on how these women value dating and how they screen. The women that I've dated the last several years have always been more concerned about who I was as a person, and then my career second, and then everything else fell afterwards. People who are more concerned about the clothing and all the other aspect is, to be frankly honest, is juvenile and high schoolish, because he could have all the clothes together and be mentally not stable. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think a lot more women now, that I say a lot more younger women who are coming into the dating scene have that type of mindset. But I think at the end of the day, it's like you can only blame their parents for these type of situations. If they value marriage and all that other stuff, like they were screened differently. If they had inconsistencies on both sides of the parents, then it's very immature.
100. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Have a good evening. All right.
Okay.
Miss Christina, thank you for waiting patiently. Miss Christina, I want you to start with the latest, video that I just played. So I want you to give your thoughts on that. I want you to speak on, what I know you're married, but I want you to speak on, what you see a lot of young black women actually valuing in men nowadays. And then you can, go to the, does a man or woman's past matter, and the amount of baby mamas and baby daddies they have, is that a mistake or not?
Okay, sure. So, I watched the whole clip of this man earlier. His message wasn't wrong, but his delivery could have used some work. Now, what was the first? I'm sorry. What was the first thing you asked me to
Yeah,
speak on?
I want, so, she disqualified that man because of his pants. So I want you to speak on what your thoughts are on that, and what, do you think a lot of young black women actually value what like should really matter when they're, seeking a long-term relationship with the man?
So I think that her disqualifying him for the pants was childish. I'm not even gonna hold you on that. It was absolutely childish. But there was, I don't know if you saw the balloon pop episode of the guy that had on the Pokemon shirt, and all the girls popped their balloon. And this was a guy with a good job. He was tall, he was handsome, and he had on a Pokemon shirt, and they all popped their balloons. So, no, with that said, no, I don't think we're valuing the correct thing when we're looking for a partner. Um, I
Why?
feel
Where,
like
why? Where do you
look
why do you think that is?
looks matters way. I feel like people make looks way too important in relationships. Honestly, that's just my opinion. What you wear, what you have, how you look, I feel like that should be maybe 10, 15, 20%. Instead, it turns out to be like 90, 95%. And the other 5% are you kind? Are you generous? Do you want, are you going to be a good father? Are you going to be a provider? Are you like, the 5% should be elongated to like the 80% at this point. I just feel like people make aesthetics just so important, and it's actually very superficial to me personally. I don't think the man's pants were that bad personally, but I feel like she was being childish, but I also feel like his feelings got hurt, so he decided to try to humble her by being like, well, how many baby daddies you got? I don't really feel like he needed to do all that. If he knows that when she said she had multiple baby daddies, he should have been like, that's not for me, and kept it moving. I felt like he wanted to humble her because she made the comment about his pants and he didn't like it, which was kind of childish to me as well. But That's just my opinion.
Okay, I think looks do matter. And me personally, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think it's shallow. I just got a phone call. Can y'all hear me? I just got a phone call.
Yeah, we can.
We can hear you.
Okay. I don't think it's shallow. I don't think it's shallow to care about looks. Should looks be 100%? No. But when two people don't know each other, all they have initially to go off is physical attraction. Um and when people are in a relationship with someone, you do want to be with someone that you actually want to look at them and feel good about looking at them. You want to be with someone that you want to kiss. You want to be with someone that you want to have sex with. So all of that stuff matters. I think physical appearance and looks, it definitely matters. But when like you said, for that one specific guy, before he even had the opportunity to open his mouth, all those women were popping their balloons. And when the host was asking them why they're popping their balloons, for most of them, it was because of his outfit. So it's like, this guy's a fraud analyst. This guy got a retirement plan. He got benefits, but you're gonna disqualify him simply because you don't like his clothes. Like you can't help him with his wardrobe, or if he's open to it, you can change his swag when you get into a relationship with him, right? You can have him start wearing what you want him to wear, but you're just automatically going to disqualify him because of his clothes. That's just like crazy, and that's why a lot of these women end up in the positions that they're in. So do you want to respond to that before I have you speak on the other video?
Yeah, so when I said looks, that was including clothes too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was including clothes too. Because like I said, he was very good looking. They just didn't like his outfit. They didn't like his shirt or his shoes or whatever the case was. It wasn't like he was hard on the eyes. He looked very good. But once again, I think that kind of like goes back to like what people are really placing so much. You can change this man's clothes. Like they're just placing importance on things that are in the big picture, not going to sustain the relationship. So that's all I was trying to say. And you said the first video, the one that he talks to the lady in the pink.
Yeah.
Same thing. I thought his tone was kind of on the aggressive side, but that's all I have to say about that. I just really didn't like his energy in that video personally, so I might be a little biased, but that's all I have to say.
Okay, but what do you have to say about people, consistently doing the wrong thing multiple times and then saying it's a mistake?
I think I agree. Once is a mistake, twice, three times, that's a choice. As we all know, choices have consequences. The consequences to your choice might be your dating pool might shrink a little bit because some men just don't want to deal with the outcome of your choices. That's not to say that people don't love their kids and that their kids are a mistake or whatever. I definitely don't think that, but I definitely think when you make certain choices, certain things come from that.
Okay, and then actually, I want to add one more thing that I want everyone to speak on. So, I think it's very interesting, Christina, that women that have multiple kids by multiple different men, never been engaged before, never been married. Speaking specifically about the woman in orange, I think it's very interesting. I'm not gonna say how I really feel, but I think it's very interesting that women in that position will go on dating shows, to like present themselves to childless men, men that may have one or two kids, but it's from like an ex-marriage or something of the sort. What do you think about, what are your thoughts on these women getting on these shows to present themselves to men, like for men to court them or something? Like, do you think like these women are still like catches? Like one woman in the comments said she's tired of people telling single mothers that they can't have standards. Like, do you think a woman that, has 3 kids by 3 baby daddies is within her right and justified in having the same standards as like a childless woman? Like, do you think a lot of men are going to see a woman that has 3 kids by 3 different men, never been engaged, never been married, and actually want to pursue this woman for a serious relationship? Most men.
I think so. I think it's nuanced, right? Because it really depends on what that specific man values. Because my thing is, there's a woman that can have a kid, and there's a woman that cannot have a kid. And if the woman that doesn't have a kid doesn't align with what his values are, right? If he's ready to settle down, if he's ready to start building wealth, if he's ready to buy a house, or he's ready to do certain things, and the woman that doesn't have a kid still wants to go out clubbing, still wants to go out do these things, and he's like, I'm not really on that type of time, he might gravitate towards the woman that does have a kid, who is at home more, who is ready to build something serious, or maybe have more kids, or whatever the case may be. So I think it really depends on what that man values and what he's looking for. I don't think it makes a woman any less marketable because of that situation. I think she just needs to find a man that is going to be willing to take on that situation, and B, give her, you guys' values aligning in that situation. But I don't think single moms should lower their standards for anybody just because of their situation. I think that they can still find what they're looking for.
Okay, so I always say there's possibility and probability in life. So possibility is, the event that anything can happen, because anything is possible. And probability is the likelihood, of something happening. So like, to the last thing that you just said about, a single mom can, find what it is that she's looking for. You're right. You're right about that. But like what's the probability of a single mother, especially someone that has 3 kids by 3 different men? What's the probability of that woman finding a childless man that is more than willing and super excited to take on that responsibility of dealing with a woman that not only has 3 kids, but 3 kids by 3 different men that are not involved in the life at all? Well, like, what is do you think a lot of childless men, a lot of childless, accomplished, successful men, working class men, do you think, out of 10 men, out of those 10 men that I just described, how many of those 10 men do you think are really signing up to do that?
I honestly don't know. I would say probably not a lot. Probably not a lot.
Just give me a number. Out of 10
Out of
men.
10 men, I think at least 4 would sign up.
You think 4 of them are going to sign up to do that?
I do, personally. Yeah.
40%.
So Jada said in the comments, my friend with kids be pulling them. So I don't know. And that's actually my experience too. I know several single mothers, and their dating life has not slowed down at all. Not even a little bit. So I don't really know. I think to some men, it just doesn't matter. I mean, and to the ones that don't do it. But some men just don't care about that.
Okay. Hope, did you want to say something really quick, or did you want to speak? Because I do got to go in order. Did you want to say something really quick, or did you want to wait your turn to speak?
I'll wait. Thank you, Novel.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Chad. So start with the woman disqualifying the man because of his pants, and do you think a lot of young black women, actually, value what's important, and then move on to the past mattering and things of that nature?
Okay. Lord have mercy. I think disqualifying a man based off of the pants that he wears is ridiculous, to be honest. Though I honestly believe any man who goes on a pop the balloon or 20v1, they should be laughed at, because why the fuck are you on that in the first place, to be honest with you? Even women, why are you going on those? Those are like, I don't know why you're going on that shit, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think disqualifying a man based off the pants that he wears is it's a little ridiculous. It'd be one thing if he was wearing something crazy, but like the pants weren't even that absurd, to be honest. And then what was the next question you had?
What do you think a lot of modern black women value what's important when it comes to men?
Uh, I think it depends on the type of black woman that you're messing with, to be honest with you. Uh, I think like women in the the woman that be going on like pop the balloon and 20v1, hell no, absolutely not. But like if you talk to women who come from solid backgrounds and solid families, 100% yes. I think more often than not, you'll see women who are on like pop the balloons or 20v1s. They'll have a very skewed mindset when it comes to dating because they don't come from like actual money. If you talk to women who come from actual money and come from families who, the dad takes care of all the bills and they've lived a very comfortable lifestyle, they're not impressed by like Gucci bags. You're not impressed by freaking Louis Vuitton bags. You're not impressed by $300 dinners. That stuff doesn't really matter. What they really care about is, are you gonna have a career so that we'll be able to save up to possibly buy a house and get a duplex and shit like that. That's the shit that they give a fuck about. It's really about the caliber of black woman that you're talking to be honest with you. And that's the same logic if you're a black woman talking to a certain caliber of black men. If you're talking to a black man who all he cares about is 2K and the latest thing that the dumb streamer did, then sure, you're not going to get the same type of conversation. Versus if you're talking to a dude who's worried about his career or worried about shit that actually matters in the world. So it's really about perspective, to be honest with you.
And what are your thoughts on the woman that was saying that a woman having multiple kids, but out of wedlock is still a mistake and not necessarily a choice?
I think making the argument that a child being born is a mistake, I think that's a little bit dangerous territory. However, I would understand why some men wouldn't want to date a woman with kids. Me personally, I mean, I've retired from the game, so I've hung up my jersey. But nevertheless, I think if you are somebody who has multiple kids and you're not married and you just out here, if you a man and you got multiple kids and you're not taking care of them, or that shit's it's weird. If you're a woman out here and you got multiple kids and you're not married, it's just like, I mean, you can have your standards. Don't get me wrong. I'm never gonna knock somebody for having their standards. You can, but like, I mean, we got to be honest with you. We got to be honest. Like, come on, like. The average dude's not going to do that. And oftentimes, a lot of people will make the argument about celebrities. They'll use an argument like somebody like Future or somebody like YoungBoy and be like, oh, they got a bunch of money so they can take care of the kids. Okay, cool, but they're not going to have a real solid relationship with their children. Like a man who makes, I guess, $60,000-$70,000 and is in their child's life and is a good, caring person, they're going to have a better relationship with their child than Future, who, yeah, he may be able to have his kid have a certain lifestyle, but he's not going to have a solid relationship like the guy who's in their child's life. Like, come on, like, let's be serious.
So last question. So, women and men that have multiple, but we're specifically focusing on women right now, because like I said, I think it's very interesting that women that have multiple kids by multiple different men would even come on these type of dating shows to put themselves out there as if they're like, as if them and their situation is something that a lot of men actually desire. So do you think a lot of these childless, accomplished, successful working class men will actually see a woman that has 2-3 kids by 2-3 different men and actually, want to pursue a serious relationship with this woman, possibly get married to her and take care of her kids that are not his? Out of 10 men, how many of those men do you think are actually will be excited to sign up to do that?
Out of 10 men, at most, probably 2. At most 2. But if we're going to be real, the reason why stuff like 20v1 or pop the balloon. The reason why those women can come on there and have multiple kids and, say, this dude in line, I may want him, I may not want him, is because there are dudes who are lined up who will still try to be with a woman who has multiple kids. That's the main reason why it even exists. If the men said, "Oh, I don't want a woman with kids," then there wouldn't be pop the balloons or 20v1s with shorties who have a bunch of kids. Always going to be niggas lined up who want those women at the end of the day.
That's fair. Okay, Issy, go ahead, Issy. Thank you for waiting patiently.
What was the first question you asked?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the woman disqualifying the man for his pants? And do you think a lot of modern black women actually, value like the important things that, they should care about in a man these days?
I think that the disqualifying him for his pants was kind of childish. I don't think that that matters, to be honest with you. I feel like you can always change that. If his swag is off, you can always upgrade that nigga. What's the movie with Nick Cannon and Shorty? That she upgraded his swag and everything like that. You can definitely do that. It seems like you just want to be lazy and don't want to put in the work for that. Again, but you may have a good man on your hands right there. So I feel like it really doesn't matter if we really want to be honest about it. And then what was your second question?
Yeah. What do you think a lot of modern black women are valuing what's important in a man these days?
I can only speak for around my age range and what I see in my life, and I'm gonna say no, to be honest with you. It's more about what a nigga has, what a nigga's gonna provide for them, not necessarily how they gonna treat them. Again, you hear the thing of, oh, would you rather cry in the Benz or cry in a Honda and shit like that all the time? And it's like, oh my goodness, why not just not cry at all? How about that? They don't like that though. I guess it's boring. I don't know.
And what are your thoughts on, the woman that was trying to make it seem like, a woman having multiple kids out of wedlock is still a mistake?
I don't believe it's a mistake. Again, if I'm really honest about it, there's very few times I can really sit here and say oh, it's a mistake that I was in Shorty Raw. It was a mistake. The condom broke or something like that. To be so for real right now. You knew what you was doing. You knew the decision that you were making. You just don't want to face the music and the reality that you, again, made the same, if you want to say error, not mistake. There's a difference between an error and a mistake. The same error and judgment, thinking that, oh, he was different. Oh my God. Yeah, it's okay. All of that shit.
Okay. And what are do you out of 10, like I said, accomplished, successful working class men that are childless, do you think a lot of these men, desire a woman that already has not only a ready-made family, but, ready-made families, whether it's two ready-made families or three ready-made families? Do you think a lot of, men are, jumping up and down and lining up to be with these type of women for
No.
serious relationships, not just to sleep with, for serious relationships?
No. If I'm honest, I'll say maybe one. Maybe 0.5. I'll be honest with you. Maybe 0.5. Because, again, like I said in the comments before, that is not men's most first choice. And the nigga who has the option to choose from who he wants is definitely not picking a baby. If I'm really honest, is definitely not picking a baby mama. I'm just being honest with you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, brother. Hey, it's nice seeing you, man. Listen, I'm out of retirement. I'm about to go back into retirement here after these people get off the panel. Make sure y'all subscribe to the link in my bio. Issy, do you have any last words you say before you drop, brother?
Hey man, when you gonna come back, yo? You see, you been MIA. You didn't fall off the face of the earth. It's crazy, man. Wow.
I'm in retirement, brother. Just subscribe to the link in my bio. I'm gonna come back here one day, man. One day.
I got you.
All right, brother. Damo, thank you for waiting patiently, ma'am. So please, again, start with your thoughts on the woman disqualifying the man for his pants. And I want you to also, as part of that, what do you think a lot of modern, black women are valuing these days?
Okay, so can you hear me? I'm sorry. Hey
Yeah, I can hear
everyone.
you.
Okay, I just want to start off by saying that with the whole pants situation. Now, I wouldn't personally judge anyone's so much so off of their clothes, because people's own individual style is their style. However, I'm not going to knock another woman for saying, hey, I see this and I don't like this, because at the end of the day, appearance is very subjective. People's standards and what they require out of an individual as far as their physical appearance is different, and it varies from person to person, from gender to gender. So I'm never going to judge someone off of their own personal opinion about how they want their men to present. Because me personally, when I saw his pants, the first thing that I thought of was, oh, he said that he's 40 and he has on tight pants. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be funny. That's the first thing, because you 40 something, you around my daddy and them age, my uncle and them age, and you got on tight pants. And I wouldn't go for that either. So that's that on the pants situation, because that's subjective. Now, your second question was about, say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you think a lot of modern, young black women are actually valuing what should matter in a man these days?
Yes, I feel like it depends on the group of black women that you happen to be around. And I don't even want to just say, well, since you're only subjecting it to black women and you're talking about black women, I can only speak from my personal perspective. And me personally, as a black woman, I do value things like education, how a person treats me, what are their goals, what are their aspirations in life. I think we oftentimes see these, what is it, a YouTube series or these challenges and these things, the 20 versus 1, the Pop the Balloon challenge, and forget that these are intentionally set up for people to be shallow, and they're here for entertainment. They're not real world. They're not reality, right? And reality is, if you log offline and you go out into the real world and you actually go court people and you ask people questions, you will find your answers, and you will see that there are a lot of people who actually value the quality of a person over what the quality of what people can bring them. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I never take anything like these types of things seriously. But I think when it comes to the internet conversation and the internet, the gaslighting, the clickbait, the rage bait, yeah, they're going to make it always seem like, either side, either gender, male or female, they have this prerogative, or their focus is not on the things that need to be important as it pertains to, having a successful partnership, relationship, whatever you aspire to have. So in my personal opinion, I'm going to say yes, because that's just what I experience and what I am around. But I understand that that may be different, or through someone else's lens, they may see different. Then that's it.
And then what are your thoughts on the woman that was essentially saying that a woman having multiple kids by multiple men can still be a mistake?
Okay, so here's my personal opinion about that. I feel like it gets very iffy and it gets fickle when you start to have these personal standards, and we're judging people based off things that are very subjective, again, to each other, right? To an individual. So when the young gentleman, when I watched the full clip, when the young gentleman was, when the women said something that he didn't like, right? They critiqued him about something. His rebuttal was, oh, well, how many babies do you have? And do you have children? And et cetera, right? And when they answered with something that he could use to belittle them, his energy shifted and he used that to belittle them. And I did not like that. However, I don't think it's wrong for him as a man to say, hey, I don't want to date a woman who has multiple children by multiple men, because I am a woman, a 26-year-old woman. I will not date anybody with kids. Do you get what I'm saying? And by my standards, if he was in front of me, he would automatically be disqualified, because he said himself, I have one child,
right? A
teenage child.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? So when we start trying to judge people based off their own personal preferences, it gets very fickle. It becomes grimy, and it becomes tit for tat. And people aren't understanding that you can agree to disagree with someone, and you can respectfully tell someone, hey, you're a beautiful young lady. A lot of them were like, yeah, you're a good looking man, but I don't X, Y, and Z. I don't want you because of X, Y, and Z. But hey, move on. I feel like his energy, like Christina said earlier, his energy came off of as if he was very defensive. and he was not trying to listen to the women, and he was trying to degrade them and trying to, I mean, every single woman that he went to, and ironically a majority of those women were women who had multiple children, who had multiple baby daddies, right? He used that to belittle them and try to, I guess, prove his point throughout the whole entire series, which didn't really do anything, in my personal opinion, but make him look like a douchebag. Because he could have just easily said, well, you know what, I respect you, you know, but I don't date women who have multiple kids and multiple women. And you don't really, quite honestly, to me, and this is the unpopular opinion, have to explain why you don't date somebody.
Right.
If I don't want to date you, if you don't meet a standard and there's something about you that I don't like, then I don't have to explain why I don't want to talk to you, proceed, or have anything to do with you. It could just be as simple as that. And I don't believe it's a double standard, but I do think what a lot of people don't understand is, going back to my original statement, what one person won't accept, another one will. So we can sit up here on this panel and say, like, hey, you know, it was a young gentleman, I don't remember his name, he just went out of the chat. He was like, I don't know a lot of men who are going to date women who have multiple kids and multiple women. And I'm sitting here from a woman's perspective telling you that I know a lot of women, friends, family, co-workers, you know, other peers that I meet in class, I'm in nursing school, who have multiple kids with multiple men, and they're in the men that they're married to were men that they met along the way, men that they also don't have children by, men that were okay with dating a woman, right, who had multiple kids with multiple men, but they were okay with it. Just because they were okay with it don't mean you have to be okay with it.
So my last question is then, you know, because you kind of like walked into it. So I've been asking for one, but I'm gonna ask for both. Do you think that, like, you know, men and women that not only have kids but have kids by, you know, multiple men and women, do you think that, you know, they're more than justified in having the same standards that they had when they were childless then?
Yes, because I feel like a lot of times your standards don't change, but I feel like there are certain things that may, how can you, I'm trying to search for the word. There are certain things that you put on your resume that either make you qualify for people or don't make you qualify, right? But that doesn't mean the standards of the job change. Like if you're applying for a job, right, there's certain standards in a job. If you meet those standards, that doesn't mean that if you meet those standards, you can meet those standards, right, without necessarily, you know, being picked by the other person. Because you can have multiple people lined up to also get that job, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Like you can literally, like, say if the qualification for a job is you need to have a bachelor's degree and you need to have 4 years of cashier experience. Anybody can have a bachelor's degree and have 4 years of bachelor's experience, but also on their resume they have that, oh, I work with X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't really, to some people that matters, to some people that may not matter, right? But they qualify to get the job. They are qualified, right? They meet the standards required to get the job. And that varies from person to person. And my standards don't change, regardless of the fact. I don't look at you any different. I can say that, to make it more clear, because I know I'm just rambling, but like, I can easily say, you know, I want to date a guy who's financially stable, who makes around the same amount of money that I make, who is educated like me, has at least a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, et cetera, et cetera. That same man can also be a man with a child. Do you get what I'm saying? But I just told y'all in the chat, I don't date men with children. He met the standards as far as what I'm looking for in a guy. But that one little thing, I was like, okay, yeah, that's my deal breaker. I don't want to deal with that. And that's what I think people don't realize. Like, you can have that. You can meet the standards, but also be disqualified at the same time. And that's okay.
I understand. Thank you, Damo. I appreciate you. You have a good night, all right? Devontae, go ahead. Again, please first speak on what your thoughts are on her disqualifying him for his pants, and what do you think a lot of modern Black women are valuing in men nowadays?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say the pants was childish, but I'm gonna give you guys a different kind of point. I think the reality is like she saw the way he was tearing into every single woman with kids, and she had the most kids. So I think it was just more she saw something and then just boom. Like, you know what I mean? It's like just a rebuttal. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when you know what's about to happen, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I have 3 kids, and like she probably looked at it more like, I'm going to just say something witty, because if you look at a lot of the balloon popping shows, it's like a dude can walk in and all the balloons are popped. So it's like, you know, you got a lot of people that are followers. So it could have just been like she popped her balloon just because, didn't really have a reason, saw that she was the one who had 3 kids, 3 different dads, like whole crazy situation with one. Like, yeah, she popped the balloon and then he's going to say a bunch of crazy shit. And I think the other issue is, like, I don't have a problem with if anyone doesn't want kids. But as far as like the value though, it's like, I do think it really depends. Like, I'm not going to play the game of what I think. I think we are running into a mode where people are evaluating what people have versus like the qualities and the character, the things that are actually going to make or break a relationship. Because it's like, you can have every single thing, but we don't have shared vision. So we don't have like a plan on where we're going. We don't value the same thing. So we'll never be on the same like mindset. And then conflict resolution skills, meaning like, hey, whenever you get with a person and you form a 2-handed circle, or if you're in a polyamorous relationship, you form whatever circle that is, you know, it might be a hexagon, I don't know. But can you guys, like, whenever there's a group of people, there's always going to be some form of conflict. Can you guys get over that? Because especially when there's kids involved from other relationships, there's a dynamic, especially if you have people co-parenting, because you always have like the group that doesn't want to break a lot of the generational trauma. Like, sometimes you have a good baby daddy and a bad baby mama, or a good baby mama and a bad baby daddy. So it's like, some people who are asking for children, like, if you have kids, it might just be from a male point of view. What type of trouble will I be running into if you know, even the father or the mother is even in the child's life? Because sometimes that's not even the situation. So I felt like that's kind of where he was asking. But yeah, I think there are people who just don't value much, and I think that's where we get into the situations that we're in now. So I would say it's like a good 50-50 shot.
Okay. What are your thoughts on people that have men and women that have multiple children by multiple different men and women? Is that a mistake, or do they make a choice to do that?
I think it's really based on the fact that it's all about conflict resolution. Like, because I'm gonna be honest, if you're not happy, the relationship's failing, you're not gonna be in the relationship. Like, it really is based on like our generation, like the young generation. We don't really deal with shit anymore. Like, a lot of our parents kind of did the thing of, hey, we stayed together because we had kids. We don't do that. If the union is not stable, if it's not safe, if it's hurting us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, then it's going down and trickling down to our children. We're just not gonna work. So I think I would never say a child is a mistake, because that's going to be a blessing in its own. But I do feel like there is decisions, especially now, because it's like, you got birth control, you have condoms, there's so many different contraceptives, you have Plan B, even though they're trying to get rid of those things. So we'll see what happens. So I think I would never say it's a mistake. I would say it's like, we are at the point now where we can lessen these things. So I wouldn't say kids are a mistake, though. I wouldn't say like I would say things happen. I'm not gonna say it's a mistake, though, like, because there's things you can do, especially like men and women. Like, there's ways you can prevent a child. Plan B is only $60. Go to Walmart.
Do you think that men and women that have multiple kids by multiple different men and women, do you think that they're justified in having the same standards in men and women that they had when they were childless?
I think it depends on your age and your peer group, because the reality is like, so I'm 27, I'm engaged, planning on being married. The reality is, for people who are in their late 20s, early 30s, we're starting to all kind of settle down. So what's going to happen now is, like, if you look at the pandemic, a lot of people had kids. So it's just like, you're going to run into, depending on your age, you're going to run into people who might have either been in long-term relationships, been engaged, been married, been divorced, or they might have children, especially if you're dating in your 40s. Like the people up on the balloon show, they're in their 40s, approaching 40, or hitting their 40s. So it's like the reality is most of you guys are going to have kids. So the standards that you're going to have is going to be like within your group. I don't think it's going to be easier for you to get with someone who doesn't have kids, because it's like, but at the same time, for a person who's in that age group, it's probably more than likely. So I would say if you're 40, 50 years old and you have kids, you're probably more than likely to get with someone in your own age bracket, because that's going to be like an expectation. Like I would expect somebody who's in their 40s to 50s to have a few kids.
Right.
That's just like my mom and my dad are 50. They have 3 kids all together. So if my parents were to split and then go back to dating, yeah, whoever dates them, yeah, there's going to be like 3 kids that you're going to be running into.
Right.
So that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. You have a good night, all right?
You too. Appreciate it.
All right, man.